What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Beta Memoirs. And indeed, like stated last week or on the Sunday weekly update, we did have a pullback. It was a lot more than expected, but it is something we really needed. We really needed that back test. We have hit it, although right now the SPY and the QQQs, they look like they could do a bit more of a pullback. Although one thing to remember here is tomorrow evening you have Netflix earnings, which could really start turning this thing around and start pushing back up again. Maybe that's what we're waiting for, maybe not. But ultimately, tomorrow might be another day of chop, essentially. So before we get started, remember to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't done so already. So again, we are in the start of earnings season. We do have Netflix. We do have some big players up this week being said. And then we have one of the bigger weeks next week. We have a lot of big tech next week. We've got Tesla and Apple and Microsoft, I believe, next week. But being said, ultimately, we have to understand that normally these big tech stocks have really been running up before earnings. I know even Snap has been one I've been watching today, and they kind of just really died up and didn't really hold very well. There wasn't any specific news. I know there's been a lot of talks about oil and stuff again, and I know there's some other talks about Russia and stuff as well. But being said, I don't think that is really going to play that much of a dramatic impact on what is exactly going on here for the most case. But so far, I think it is just people setting up for position is ultimately what it is. There's been a lot of liquidation. I know even in the crypto space, there was a massive liquidity over the weekend. So I know crypto took a big hit over the weekend. I think that's kind of stalled everything, especially tech and big corporations that have been invested in Bitcoin, like your Teslas and some other. I know MicroStrategies has been another one that's been a big one. Square has been another big one. But a lot of them took big hits today. So I don't know if Bitcoin, if the whole transition over to cryptos and stuff is kind of what's playing around with everything right now. It's really hard to depict, and I mean, if anybody could depict it, they'd be they'd have this game down to science, and nobody has this game down to a science. There's a lot of things that come into play. But before we get started, let me go ahead and pull up the charts here for you guys. And also, we'll pull up the watch list. Now, tonight's watch list is a little small. I didn't want to get too many. I'm trying to get some of the cleanest plays on the daily in here. Again, my primary focus is going to be on Tesla because earnings is next week on the 26th. You got Snap earnings this Thursday. You got Etsy coming up. You got Facebook, which I know it's had a big run, but still on the daily, it looks really good. Even with that big rare tear up it's already had. Twilio still looks really good on the daily. Funko Pop is actually looking good on the daily as well. Again, this is in hopes that everything stays where it's at currently, because ultimately I think I even almost swung Tesla again because of the fact that I didn't swing it last week because I knew we were going to have a dip today, but nonetheless I didn't want to swing it tonight because I was unsure if we'd sell off a little bit more. Now, I know it held very well. As we can see, the SPY here held very well. Sold off pretty hard. Everything actually sold pretty hard. There was nothing. Some tech actually held pretty well. Tesla hit a solid base and held. Apple is holding strong. Facebook did do a little bit of selling. I mean, tech in general is holding. Second tier tech has really been just getting plummeted. And beaten down quite a bit. I think it's a matter of time before there's a lot of divergence right now. There's a lot of different things going on. The market is really trying to transition over to this new marketplace. Again, accepting cryptos and accepting all these other different forms of payment and all these different corporations. gathering Bitcoin as essentially as an asset for the company. So being said, I think, again, that big pull off of crypto might have been what kind of stalled us today. Again, I was expecting the pullback, but maybe that's exactly what it was the I am recording this in the market. Sorry, I am recording this, and the market is still it's almost at close. It's at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time as of this recording. So tomorrow, what I really want to see is a break back over this. I know that daily candle, depending on it's really depending on what chart you use. TOS, it does look like it's been broke down and retest from underneath on the trend. But this could very well, I think, open up above this tomorrow. Really, that candle tomorrow is really going to tell us, because if this next candle tomorrow opens up down below this, we got a lot of bit of headway down till support at the 406 mark, which in my mind, I mean, anything is possible, but we do have big earnings coming up this week, next week, and the following week. We got a couple big week of earnings. Being said, for me to see this just randomly sell off all the way down to 406, I don't think is possible. Again, we could wake up, we could gap up and just start running tomorrow. I don't think we're going to do that. I think tomorrow we might gap up a bit and then actually hold into Netflix earnings. If they do well, I think that can start moving this boat forward. But QQQ looks a lot of the same. If as long as we can hold this current support here, we can drop a little bit more down to the 331 mark and finally hit support for QQQ. But I do see this being very bullish. Being said, right now there hasn't really been any news. So for me to come on here and say that it's just going to sell off, I mean, there is the Russian news and everything, but I don't think it's big enough news to really make a dramatic impact unless we're actually going to war. But again, I don't see that happening. Tesla had this mad sell-off today. I scalped this a couple different times today, but it wasn't the prettiest scalps today, I'll tell you that. But nonetheless, it was just really sideways today. And I caught this candle here on this touch of the 200. I was in a weekly call option here, but I wanted to actually swing this. It did pop up. I actually just went out because it was struggling to get back up. But right now it looks like we might actually gap up tomorrow. If Tesla is back over this, over all the support, the 20 to 50 and the middle Bollinger Band tomorrow, Tesla is definitely another play. Again, it's on the daily. It has hit great support. It's been ricocheting off this phenomenal support right here. Again, another higher low. I think we're going to really run tomorrow. So that's why I really like Tesla for tomorrow. Let's see, the next one I got on the list is Snap. Snap has earnings on Thursday. I did catch this one out of the gate. It came down. I caught it perfectly, jumped back up. I actually ended up holding it, and it came crashing down again, so I broke even on this one. But ultimately, it's rattling around and started to push back up. But I really want this back over everything tomorrow. For me to take a position to get that run up into earnings again on Thursday after hours, but we have to see where this is at. The whole market is kind of really just in a weird position right now. Again, it could be positioning, it could be something else that we are not aware. In my mind, I would call it as being someone trying to position for earnings. Again, because I think a lot of companies or the leaders in the industry will, I think, take massive profits. But I think, again, any secondary ones, that might be why a lot of the secondary ones have really sold off, to be honest, because I think all the bigger profits are going towards those industry leaders at this point. But Etsy on the daily actually looks great, holding support very well. Hit a lot of support today. I didn't take an entry in this one. I did briefly look at it today, but I didn't take anything. Tomorrow, if we do break up back, ultimately, I don't like being under the 200 moving average. If we could break back up over that, I'd be more at ease to take this. But ultimately, if we could wait for a cleaner push back above all this support here, or resistance here would ultimately be what we're looking for. But again, on the daily, it does look really good. Facebook is the other one I have. Again, it's had quite the ride, but it is holding this support level here, around the 300 mark here. And on the daily, it actually just hit the middle of Bollinger Band and is wedging. So I wouldn't be surprised if we actually ran up. Again, we have earnings on the 28th on Facebook. This is probably my other one. There's probably a Tesla on Facebook tomorrow for me ultimately. But I do like those. I think they're pretty clean. Twilio is the other one I have on here. I've talked about Twilio quite a bit. So Twilio is the other one. Again, holding support greatly. You don't want this candle to open up below this 362.37 mark. But as long as it can maintain where it's currently sitting at, which is that 366.21 mark, as long as it can hold above that tomorrow, I think we can really, as long as it stays above this 200, I think we're good. But you're going to hit this resistance. You might actually go sideways quite a bit on this one, but I think Twilio always does fairly well on earnings. I remember when one was back in the hundreds, now it's up in the 300s. So great fundamentals on this company, but one to keep a watch on still for the rest of this week. And the other one I got for you guys is Funko, which is, if you know anything about NFTs, Funko came out with, they're coming out with a NFT for their Funko Pops. Being said, I think that drops in June, but nonetheless, that news has obviously been making this thing sporadic, but it is on a good support here tomorrow. If it is holding this zone tomorrow, I would like to get into it. It's starting to build consolidation, so we might get 2 or 3 days. If it is consolidating nicely tomorrow, the market doesn't crap out. Ultimately, I'd like to get a leap in this, or at least a couple of months out. Grab a couple contracts on this and wait for that pump up to 25, and then run a stop underneath that, unless we break that 25 mark, and then break all-time highs and continue up. But that is essentially what I got for you guys. I know it's a crazy week. We just came out of a crazy month. We started seeing some tech come back to life, and it was exciting for a while. And then we're kind of starting to get a little bit more chop again. Again, we got the Fed again next week as well. So that's something else to keep in mind, which is kind of funny. It's one of the biggest weeks in earning, and we also have the Fed. So next week's going to be a lot of volatility. Just be aware of that. So a lot of these things might be waiting for that. But ultimately, I think Netflix will really start kicking this off and really get this ship moving. So with that being said, remember to hit the like button. Until next time, guys, I will see you later.